Hello and welcome to GreenBiz Studio. My name's Jim Giles and I'm Senior Vice President for Product and Content here at GreenBiz Group. And I'm joined today by Gail Grimmett, who is SVP for Sustainability Operations and Partnerships at Delta Air Lines. Hey, Gail, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jim. Good to be here. Thanks so much for having us.
Right. So let's start by kind of really stepping back. And I would just love to hear from you. Tell us, let's get back to basics. Why is sustainability important to Delta Airlines as a business?
You know, I think we feel that sustainability is, it's table stakes now. It's not just because it's great to do for the environment, but it's really because it's what's expected of us. It's what our customers expect from us. It's what our investors expect from us, and it's what our employees expect us to do. And so for us, really making sure we have a strong, thoughtful sustainability strategy is more than, of course, we want to do what's right for the environment, but we want to do what's right for everyone.
Great. So let's get into detail about some of that strategy then. So we know that we as a global economy have to get to net zero by 2050. Tell us about some of the work that Delta is going to do to get there.
So for our long-term strategy to 2050, we actually have short, medium, and long-term goals to get there because 2050 is really a long way away. You need to be able to measure it. And in that plan, we really have embedded in our sustainability strategy in those three short, medium, and long-term goals into two pillars. We've divided them up. The first pillar is to embed sustainability in everything that we do. We're a hard to decarbonize industry. And so for that reason, we really are looking at those things. What I would say is let's control what we can control within embedding sustainability in everything we can do. So that's everything from electrifying our ground service equipment to decarbonizing our supply chain, as well as really looking at what we can do within the fleet operations to help with fuel efficiency. It's how we fly. It's the new aircraft that we're bringing in. For example, the 737 MAX aircraft gives us over 25% fuel savings efficiencies along the way, as well as looking at the routes that we're flying and the speed that we're flying the aircraft.
So those are really impressive numbers. And you mentioned that there were two pillars to your strategy. Tell us about the second one.
So the second pillar, Jim, is really looking at how we reduce our impact in the climate by flying. And so really there's a silver bullet out there right now, clearly, and you hear us in the industry talk about it a lot, which is sustainable aviation fuel. That probably is our biggest opportunity at this point. There is not enough out there right now. We continue to work with the industry and others to develop the technology out there. But again, there's other things that, in addition to looking at sustainable aviation fuel, we're working with partners across the board of other new disruptive technologies that we might be able to use that helps with the impact of, clearly 98% of our problem is what comes out of the back of the airplane. And so that's really where we're focused.
That's great. And you mentioned as part of that second pillar, working with partners. So it's clear, particularly in an industry that, as you mentioned earlier, is a hard to abate industry, that collaboration is going to be really critical in terms of the progress to net zero. Tell us a bit about how you're working across the industry to solve these challenges.
Absolutely. Working across the industry. It's not even across the industry. It's looking at who else is out there that can really think the best and the brightest that are out there. So we're working with Airbus on some new aviation and some new aircraft opportunities that might be out there. We brought in MIT to look at the impact of contrails in the market. So we're continuing to look at partners that are out there that are really looking at disruptive technologies that we might be able to bring in and leverage as we look across it. It's a big problem, and it's going to take a lot of people to help solve this problem, whether it's, partners like Airbus and MIT, it's the government in terms of helping us really look at investing and incentivizing the right production of SAF and the other technologies that are out there. And so it's going to take a village, but there's the great news is that we got a lot of great partners out there.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And we just have time for one final question. So you mentioned disruptive technologies. They sound like they're a little bit more long-term. Let's just focus on the year ahead. What innovations are particularly exciting for you in terms of things that you'll be working on over the next 12 months?
So for the short term, we have what's known as the Carbon Council here at Delta. And that's really looking at, again, those things that what can we control today? So one of the biggest things is where we have fuel savings. For example, how do we adjust the optimal speed of the aircraft to get the best fuel efficiency? If, for example, I'll give you, we're very rarely late. But when we're actually really going to be very early, we might actually slow the airplane down a little bit to save on fuel efficiency. You'll still get there on time, but we've got some great technology out there that shows how we fly, where we fly, the speed that we fly. There's an opportunity for us to continue to save on fuel efficiency across the board. We're looking to save, over the next several years, over 10 million gallons of fuel just by the work of Carbon Council alone. We're also looking, and our customers can expect that on board the aircraft, you're going to start seeing us test some other opportunities, some new onboard service products for us to find those solutions that are more sustainable. I already talked about the amenity kits and the recycled blankets, but you'll see us looking at things to replace the single-use plastic cups that are on board. That's probably one of our biggest targets right now. And with that, again, we want to make sure that what we're doing elevates the customer experience. It's something that can be used in a very large-scaled operation, but one that we know that we have to go out and address.
Great. Thank you so much, Gail. There is so much exciting work going on at Delta. I really appreciate you joining us today and giving us an update. And I'm very excited to see how it all evolves in the years ahead. So thank you again for joining us. We've had with us today Gail Grimmett from Delta Airlines, and I am Jim Giles from GreenBiz Group.